All right, hey guys, how are you? I just wanted to check in with everybody. It has been a super crazy busy week for me. So I guess you guys probably kind of all got a little bit of a reprieve. I have see that you guys have turned in some really great character analysis. They all are looking exactly like what we want. So I just kind of want to go over a few things. We don't do a whole lot of lecture, so this is just going to be like a itty bitty little bit of a lecture just to kind of touch base on some of the things that we've kind of done so far and then things that we have coming up. So I'm gonna actually make this a little smaller so that I can look at some class stuff as well, kind of while we're on together here. The first thing I just want to talk about is kind of revisiting your whole kind of course thus far. So in week one, Intro to Theater, we kind of talked about some vocab terms that are kind of specific to the theater, things like production team. That's a big one that I've kind of mentioned a few times here. So what happens when we're going to put on a production kind of on the smaller scale side, I guess? We get a script, the director, for example, at USF, Joe would choose a script. He would order them. We would all read them, we being the members of the production team. And then we would start having meetings about auditions and the show. So the character analysis is a really good way to understand what kind of individual you're looking for or what kind of character traits you want them to portray. That will also help you to give them stage directions once you get them up on stage. Then in week two, we just kind of had that quiz on the vocab words. Then we read the scripts and watched the movie. We did some compare and contrast. That's really important to do. It's very important. As I'm sure you guys all know, books very often are not like the movie. Sometimes there are liberties taken. So it is important when you're doing a show to read the script itself and to make sure you're familiar with what it was the original author intended. Then we talked about character analysis, again, information that will be useful going forward for costumes, for directing, and things like that. Next coming up here, we're going to start getting kind of into more of the bones of the matter. So this is going to be not from like the director's perspective or even maybe the vocal music perspective. This is going to be kind of what we talk about with participation in theater, the bones, the heart and soul. So this is all of the stuff that goes on backstage that the production team is part of. So the first thing we're going to do is talk about technical design and paint. Now, we could have an entire class just on technical design and paint. So this is just a very basic kind of rundown. I sent you a video to watch. There's a handout. But what we kind of want to talk about is the technical director needs to know kind of the main part of the stage, so the stage that you see and what those parts are called, and then the backstage areas and what those are called, and the parts that you don't see that are valuable for putting on a production. So we're going to have the stage itself, the main stage. We're going to have probably some sort of like pit where musicians typically are. We're going to have wings, which is like the side stages, the edges of the stage, just where actors would step off out of the light. Above, we're going to have light bars, drop bars. We're going to have different ways that we can bring technical pieces into this set area, into the stage area where the audience can see them. So the technical director is in fact in charge of all of these things. Now, very often there may be an actual designer that's going to design the set itself, and then they would be the person that would lay out the actual like tool and construction list, and then the technical designer or lead carpenter would be in charge of building the set, and then the technical designer again would be kind of in charge of all of that. And what they would do is make sure that everything gets built on time, the way it was supposed to be, that it functions correctly, and that it is able to be used on the stage when they're done. So for this week, I did not force you to have an assignment because again, we could spend 2 or 3 weeks minimum on technical set design, but I want you to just kind of think about your script. Think about if you were to have to do a set design for this script, what would be all of the locations that you would have to include for us to be able to put this show on and have it seem realistic like the author intended? What would be some ways that we could possibly stage that, share set pieces perhaps to make it look like different locations? The USF stage is not enormous, so we would be working within the constraints of that, like 20 or 30 feet. And the Music Man itself, as you notice, as you read through it, does take place in multiple different locations throughout the time period. It kind of takes place over several weeks, like the summer, 4th of July time. So you would need several different set pieces in order to make that happen. And then as we move into next week, kind of similar, we're going to be, again, referring to our script and thinking, so how are we going to light and sound the set in order to make this production come to life? So now we've built all of these pieces. We have maybe a house that comes on and off stage. How are we going to see it? How is the audience going to get the vision that the designer or the director wanted? Now, obviously, with this show, the sound is kind of taken care of for you. You aren't at liberty to insert music as you wanted. Obviously, we're going to be singing the songs from the script. So from the libretto, you will see in the libretto itself, there is the capitalized sections where there is music. Those are songs that are going to be being sung. So of course, there we're just talking about making sure that the pit bands or music is sounding the way we want it to, that they're rehearsed, that we can hear them with microphones, and things like that. So that's kind of where we are. I will, again, try to check in with you guys, to maybe into next week. Again, I apologize. This week is very, very busy for me. There's been just a lot of things going on. So I did get all of your papers graded. Those grades should all be in for you. I will get your midterms submitted. Remember, you do need to be participating in order to get the attendance grade. We can see if you are online. There will be another assignment coming up here in week 8 for you to have to do in order for us to make sure we can track that for you. This is kind of a little bit of a break week for you. I felt this might be important for you to have a week where you didn't have anything that was actually due. And I know that it is just after your spring break, so I'm sure some other classes of yours are gearing up more in full swing. The last thing that I want to mention is we are getting closer to those weeks when the shows are going to be being performed. Again, we are not doing the Music Man. We talked about that. Our seniors in the theater program are each putting on a production, a show of their own. We have 5 shows that are going to be happening, and I will get an email to you guys about that coming up this week. But the show dates will start the weekend in April after Easter, and then basically every weekend continuing on, there will be a show each weekend. You are expected to participate in watching at least one of those performances, so you have ample opportunity to do that. We would like you to get you still into the shop to do a little bit of shadowing, so we are going to look into that as well. I'm anticipating those things to happen closer to week 12 and 13 like we originally planned. So if that isn't going to work for you and you definitely need to see a different show earlier in April, you can email and let me know. But give me a week to get that email out to you with the dates and what we're kind of expecting. And remember, I did mention that the very last production, so I believe it's the first weekend of May, that one is going to feature a song from the musical The Music Man. So I think that might be kind of fun for you guys to be able to see. I think that's enough talking for me for the night. I appreciate you guys very much. I appreciate your very positive and constructive feedback for the class. We are working very hard to make sure that this goes well for you. So enjoy your technical design and paint week, and just be thinking of all of those little details that now are going to bring this production to life. Thank you.